Panda Bear and Sonic Boom Reset album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from Panda Bear and Sonic Boom. It's not their first outing together technically, as Sonic Boom has produced a whole lot for Panda Bear over the years, but this is their first actual collaborative album. Now, these are two different icons from two very different sides of the modern psychedelic rock spectrum. Panda Bear, you know him, Noah Lennox, he's from Animal Collective, and he's a guy that I've always sort of enjoyed, especially his solo stuff. I mean, I've always thought that his Young Prayer debut was really nice. It's very blissful, very full of love sort of collection of, I don't know, almost campfire songs, and at this point, I don't think I even need to say anything about Person Pitch. It is a modern classic for a reason. Now, y'all might be shook by this, but I've never been that big of a tomboy guy. Like, even just re-listening to it for the first time in a while, a couple of weeks ago, I'm not that excited by it still. I stand by it. I just think that a lot of his other solo stuff is just so much better. Even more of a hot take, I've always enjoyed Panda Bear meets the Grim Reaper even more than Tomboy. But the last time I heard from old Panda as a solo artist, I was not that much of a happy camper. I thought Buoys was by far his least captivating solo project. I mean, it's formless and fun at times, but it's also very lazy, and I just know he can do a lot better. Now, like I said, Panda Bear has brought Sonic Boom to the table this time for this album Reset. And it's not the first time that they've worked together. He has produced plenty of Panda stuff from the likes of stuff on Tomboy and Panda Bear meets the Grim Reaper. But one thing that kind of worried me about this album from a distance is, plain and simple, I've not been crazy at Sonic Boom's production at times. It's just been very hit and miss in my book. That's just my opinion. But honestly, I really did love a lot of the singles leading up to this album, and much like this album's title, this seems to be a hard reset for both of these guys. Getting to the Point is a really nice start. It is so blissful and has that joyous, I don't know, feeling of youth that Person Pitch had. I can't tell you the last time that I feel like Panda Bear has felt so full of life. It's pretty wowing here, honestly, and this may not come as too much of a shock, but these two have a lot of chemistry together. Like I said, I have been iffy with Sonic Boom in the past, but here I think a lot of his production is really sweet, really likable, and shows the two of them really taking a step back, taking things back to basics, and that's not a bad thing. Go On is really nice too. I've enjoyed this since it dropped as a single, and I think the Trog sample that it works off is done really classy. It's a little less airy and blissful, but it's just as playful and sweet on the ears. It once again reminds you of what we got from Panda Bear in his early solo works, and maybe even the early days of Animal Collective. It's a feel-good, lighthearted jam with a whole lot of color to it, and it makes me happy. I love Every Day as well. This is just a very hazy, very colorful neo-psych throwback of a tune. I mean, you know what you're getting from these two, you know their influences, you know who the hell you're dealing with, but even by their standards, I feel like they've been doing a whole lot of crate digging into some classic radio pop on this album, and that actually works in their favor quite a bit. And listen, Panda's very monotonous, sort of lackadaisical vocal performance on this track. It's not going to be for everyone. I can see it being a major downer for some, but I think it comes off really well here. It adds a lot to the aesthetic of this track as well. Now, also, I will say this, songwriting-wise, this isn't like anything mind-boggling or anything wild in the work of Panda Bear, but it works really nicely. It's very nostalgic, it's very sweet. And Edge of the Edge is the closest thing to an anthem here, and it's my favorite single here. I love the pounding drums that we get here and the seemingly haunted vocals of this track. It's really cool. It's just so harmonious, and my hat is once again off to the production here. It's pretty awesome throughout this whole album. I mean, in the early days of Animal Collective, and especially Panda Bear's solo work, I always looked at him as this generation's sort of merry prankster, and I get that again listening to this. No pun intended, this album really is a nice reset of sorts. Now, there are a few tracks on here that kind of let me down. In My Body is certainly one of them. This one is a little bit too laid back, a little bit too hazy for me. And quite frankly, it just ends up coming off boring. And yes, the atmosphere is there, the hazy aesthetic that this album has is still intact. It's still a vibe at the end of the day, if you will, but for me, it's Panda's songwriting here that kind of throws me off. I mean, like I said, there's some tracks on here that aren't exactly, modern masterpieces of songwriting, but for the most part, he ends up covering it. This track is just not it. It also just does not progress at all. And then we get Danger, which is a late single that was released from this album. And ay caramba, man, this is not for me. It is one of the goofiest tracks here. There is an undeniable sense of cool to a lot of this album, and this ain't it. This is just really cheesy, and this instrumental ends up just rubbing me the wrong way. It's pretty lame, and Panda Bear's vocals just don't add anything for me. I don't know, just not for me. And everything's been leading to this as a finale really rubs me the wrong way too, honestly. This is just not what I look for in a Panda Bear track, and it's kind of everything that I was worried about Sonic Boom bringing to the table. It has its moments, for sure. There are some cool instrumental bits, but most of this track is needlessly heady. And some of the vocal effects, nobody asked for that. And it ends up being more annoying than anything. It's also very, very long. I just think that they're so much better than this. But overall, this album's really likable. I do really like Whirlpool as well. I love the whimsical style to this track and the layers and layers of synths. As far as production goes, this just sounds so colorful, so vast. And the spacey vibe to it all comes off really tastefully. I mean, Panda Bear sounds right at home. For a cool sounding track with a lot going on, look no further. And Livin' in the After, late in the album, is a really nice late album treat, and one of my favorite tracks here. It is really classy. It's breezy, it's whimsical, and I love the strings that they added here. It doesn't end up being cheesy at all either. It's really easy to cuddle up to. A lot of feelings of joy and good vibes and everything that I look for in a Panda Bear track. This album's pretty good. There are certainly some moments that my worries that I had about Sonic Boom's production, which has always been very wishy-washy for me, come to life and lead to some kind of boring moments, but most of this album really is a reset for both of these guys. It shows them going back in their discographies, reminding themselves of what they did that got their sound on the map to begin with, and putting them to good use and giving a nice fresh twist on it. It's a lot of feelings of youth and blissful joy and just good vibes, man, and I don't have a problem with any of that. I'm feeling a decent 7 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, friends, have a great day.